When I first heard today's guest, we were at this conference and I was sitting in the front row. And I got to tell you, when she was speaking about AI and retail and leadership and what people are getting right and what people are getting wrong, I couldn't help but to agree with the vast majority of everything that she was saying. And right then and there, I knew that I was going to have her on this podcast. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about leadership. We're going to be talking about her journey as an athlete. But we're also going to be talking about, we're both sneakerheads. So I'm super excited for you to listen to this conversation with Jenna Posner. She is the founder of Chief Digital Agency and also the co-founder of Retail AI Council, of which I happen to be a member of, which is really cool. So hold on, get ready. This is going to be an amazing episode of Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy.
Welcome to Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, where we go well beyond the corporate playbook to unpack major opportunities, hidden challenges, and critical issues that senior retail leaders face every day. If you're ready to get the insights you need to elevate the impact you have on your team, increase the profitability of your stores, and level up your retail career, then keep listening, my friend, because I see a lot more success in your future. So let's get started right now.
Super pumped to be here today. My name is Jenna Flatman Posner, former retail tech executive, former retail executive, and most recently entrepreneur. Just started an agency called Chief Digital Agency. Spirit of that agency is to sit at the intersection of how technology is built and brought to market and how it is bought and implemented on the retail side. So sitting squarely right in the middle at that friction point between technologists and retailers, helping them smooth it out and deliver more tech and more value. So my career kind of first half of my career was on the tech side, second half on the retail side, serving as CDO for a couple decent sized brands. But I really feel like I'm using my powers for good now and trying to spread them across the industry. So it's a pretty fun time.
That's good. That's good. We're gonna start with a very, very non-AI question. And I think I was actually at Retail Fest probably maybe a year or two ago or something like that. I think you spoke at Retail Fest out in San Diego. And I noticed that, are you a sneakerhead?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I gravitated to that. Like, I saw there was a picture actually of you holding a whole bunch of different sneakers, and so and so I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna start with AI real quick because I'm a sneakerhead. And how did that happen? Like, have you always been a sneakerhead? Like, where did that happen?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. And this actually leads to like a pretty funny childhood story. So I was always an athlete, right? I played on the USA Rugby team for 7 years. Prior to that, I was a collegiate athlete. I was a runner, field hockey player. In high school, I was a runner and an ice hockey player. So, I've been an athlete for a long time. I've been wearing Nikes for a long time. And so, and I think what's so interesting as we get sadly older, what we find is that these silhouettes continue to just come back and come back. And there's this like beautifully nostalgic respect that sits with these shoes. Not to mention the tiebacks and colorways and, all the history and stories that these shoes tell that are so fascinating. But I was always so obsessed with Nike. I was always in Nike shoes. Ever since as far back as I can remember. And in fact, when I was a little kid, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, if you asked me, Jenna, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most kids would be like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an astronaut. I would say, I want to run advertising at Nike.
Wow.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you went to my 8, 9, 10-year-old bedroom and even into middle school and even into high school, my walls, looking back on this now, I'm like, how did it take me so long to get here? But you look at my walls, you'd see it plastered with Nike ads. I'd rip them, tear them out of magazines. Nike ads, absolute ads. I thought they were so witty and fascinating and artistic. I would save Ben & Jerry's containers because I thought they were so funny. I would clean them out and pin them to my walls. I had CPG all over my walls as a kid.
That's awesome.
Looking at it now, and it's so funny even seeing it trickle into my life now. My kids are also obsessed with CPG. Like, they're obsessed with brands. They have like Doritos and Takis t-shirts and sweatshirts. They have Prime stuffies and like ramen pillows. And I mean, I don't know. It's ingrained. It's
Yeah.
ingrained. Mad
Yeah.
respect for brands. So,
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite? What's your go-to pair? I know you got a whole bunch of them, but
oh,
it's like
there's
choosing between kids
I've got
now,
this
right?
Fearless pair that's got these like gold watches on the toes.
Oh,
Um, and it says, oh, I'll probably butcher it, but around the sole, it says, if you knew what you had was rare, you'd never lose it or you'd never take it for granted. Something like that. It's like, if you knew what you had was rare, you'd never lose it. I should go get them. Hold on. I'm going to get them. 1 second. Hold on.
I
Let me
want to
get.
see him. I want to see him. I want to see him.
All right. You ready for these bad boys?
Oh, yeah.
You
I want
ready?
to see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Come
If
on.
you knew what you had was rare, oh, you'd never waste it. Oh, so much
Ooh.
better. And look at this one. Look at this one. Oh my God. It's a different
Oh,
color.
oh man. Oh, ooh. Oh,
That's my
oh,
favorite.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I've been into sneakers for a long time, and what was so interesting about my retail journey is that when I got recruited for my first retail gig, it was with Snipes.
okay, okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so Snipes is a global sneaker and streetwear
Yep,
retailer,
yep.
and I thought, "Oh, man, if I'm gonna do this thing, if I'm gonna go on the retail side, this is it. I can't be more passionate about the product than I am, and so if I'm gonna do it, it's gotta be with Snipes." So, and it was an epic start to my formal retail
That's
career.
awesome. That's awesome. I'm so there's so many stories in that journey as a kid. So I'll just quick sneaker story. So, my cousin, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 areas removed, or not generations, but 2, whatever you call it, removed, of James Worthy. Right. I don't have any of his height or any of James Worthy's height, right? So he used to play for the Lakers. And I remember, and in high school, I played a lot of basketball and baseball. And he came out with these sneakers. He came out with these like New Balance sneakers. And I was like, oh man, I want them. I want them. I want them so bad. And I'm the youngest of 7. I'm the youngest of 7. So I was always a little spoiled. Yeah, I was always a little spoiled. So, my mom and dad used to always, like, if they didn't get it for me, my siblings would always get it for me. So I my first like pair of like sneakers were those. And it was a James Worthy New Balance. My sister Kathy came home one day, and I came home from school, and actually about 2 weeks prior to that, her and I had an argument or whatever. And she said, "Here you go," like in a very like attitude way. "Here you go, take these." And I'm like, "What? What are these? What are these?" And I opened a box, and there's freaking the James Worthy like New Balance sneakers. I start crying.
That's awesome.
I literally start crying. That started my sort of sneaker addiction, that first pair, of shoes, which is crazy, So I know I wanted to have that conversation with you because I saw all those images of you with sneakers and everything. So the interesting part, right? So you said, little Jenna, right? Was this like, I want to work for Nike, and I want to do marketing, right? And then you did a whole bunch of sports. Walk me through that path to like where you are today, right? Because you just did a whole bunch. You did a whole bunch. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff right now.
Yeah, sure. You want the career path, the sports path? You wanna see where they intersect? What do you how
I
do you
want the sports path. You know what? I want the
sports path?
sports path. I want the
Okay.
sports path, because we're going to get into the AI stuff in a second. We're going to get to the AI stuff in a second, because I think this
Sport
tells a story.
sports path, began at age 3. Uh, Gymnastics.
Okay.
My father would put me to sleep and would say, "Good night, Jenna. I love you. Olympics." Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The
wow.
pressure. The pressure was,
Wow.
laid on pretty thick pretty early, and I think what was so interesting and empowering about that is, like, it was just, like, expected that that's something that was within reach for me,
Yeah, yeah.
and I never questioned it. I
Mm,
just
mm,
believed that that was the path I was on.
yeah.
right? So, like, the power of that confidence and the lack of fear associated with the expectation, I think is just I don't know, it was a very I look back on it now and I'm like, was that pressure? Was it inspiration? Was it expectation? Was it just my baseline, right? But I
Mm.
think that my father with that, he gave me something in that.
Yeah.
Not just pressure, but something else that, like, there was no ceiling. It was always there. It was always something I could do. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
No, of
So,
course. Oh,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
So it started that young. 3, 4, I was a gymnast. I was on ice skates.
Mm.
That's kinda how it started. Um, and I did that until I was about, and that was me competing, being competitive.
Mhm.
Until I was about 11, we moved to Vermont. My parents every weekend we would like. I grew up in Rhode Island, so my parents every weekend we would go up to Vermont to see friends,
Yeah.
and the way they describe it is like my cheeks were always pink in Vermont.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was always outside, I was always running around, I was always, like, having a blast, and they just wanted that for me all the time, and so they decided, like, "We're going up here every weekend, let's let's just move." And so we moved up to Vermont when I was 11, and that's when I was really able to lean in to athletics because it was just a
Mhm.
part of the culture there. It wasn't like I was in Providence, I wasn't in this city trying to find a way to be an athlete, in this like mini concrete jungle.
Mhm.
Instead, I was in the sticks where you're defined by the activities that that you accomplish, that you do, that you participate in. And
Right.
so I was a rink rat. I was in the rink all the time. I picked up ice hockey. I was still figure skating. I was there. I was in the rink more than I was home. I was like, I was in
Yeah.
the rink all the
Yeah.
time until finally, when I was 12, I went to my dad and I said, "Dad, listen, I don't wanna figure skate anymore, I just wanna play ice hockey." Um, to which my father started crying.
Oh.
Sad about it. But he supported me and so did my mom, and that's when I leveled up. It became about the team, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't just about figure skating and, like, doing the next jump or the
Mhm.
next it was it my mindset changed into a team mindset at that point. And I learned what it meant to be a part of something greater. So I was a goaltender for about a decade. I was a goalie.
Okay.
Absolutely
Tough
loved it.
position.
And
Tough
I
position.
what's up?
That's a tough position.
Yeah.
I played a little
Yeah, I
hockey
loved the
growing up.
pressure though.
Yeah.
Loved it. Um, and, uh, and I played at pretty high levels. I did like Vermont All-Stars and Junior Olympics and went to hockey night in Boston and like, did all the kind of like recruiting activities that one would do.
Yeah.
Um, Went up to Canada for camps and did all I was like in it. I was like really in it. And then I started going to Dartmouth Elite Hockey Camp. And this is where everything shifted for me. I realized that all of the athletes, all the girl athletes that were really competitive there went to prep school. And I
Mm.
came back after one summer of camp and I said, "Mom, Dad, if I'm going to be an athlete, I got to go to prep school." And they were like, "Okay, yeah, sure." Like, we did not come from money, right? I did not come from money. They were like, "Here's the deal. You do your research, you apply, and if you get in, we'll talk about how we might be able to
You know?
get you there."
Mhm.
So I got my parents to take me on a couple tours. I called up hockey coaches. I convinced them to come watch me play. I mean, I'm like calling 1-800, Exeter and 1-800, Andover and, just, "Hey, can I talk to someone in the athletic department?" Like as a
Ooh.
14-year-old. Uh, and I toured a bunch of places, got in a bunch of places, and ended up really feeling at home at Northfield Mount Hermon. So I went to NMH in Western Mass,
Mhm.
and it was the best decision I ever made. Um, I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
I became more independent. I got that really aggressive play, and I discovered track and field, and realized that all of the assets that I had on the field or on the ice, whether I was playing field hockey or ice hockey, it was all about pace and speed and quickness.
Mm.
And being able to
Mhm.
harness that on the track was a really big shift for me and my athletic career. So I
Mm.
became a runner. I ended up getting recruited to run all over the place. I ended up choosing my education over my athletic career. I selected Wesleyan in Connecticut,
Yeah, yeah.
Division 3, but had lots of fun. I was a 3-sport athlete. I played field hockey in the fall, which gave me a nice, you know, core foundation for my indoor and outdoor season. My track coach hated it because it's a brutal sport,
Yeah, yeah,
swinging
yeah.
sticks and running
Don't get
around
hurt.
like crazy.
Don't get hurt. Don't get hurt.
Yeah. Yep. But I was an indoor 55 and 200-meter runner and an outdoor 100, 200-meter runner. I was a 7-time All-American, won a national championship my junior year in the 55-meter dash.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool time. So that was my running, right? And then my senior fall, I missed my fall field hockey season, went abroad to Australia in 2003 and discovered rugby. And I was there during a World Cup year, didn't know the gift I was being given, saw all of this amazing play and was like, this sport's nuts. I love it.
Yeah.
So I came home, I ran my indoor season. I think I placed 4th. I was like fat on like beer and fish and chips, for 4 months in Australia. I was no business running. But I did. I ran my indoor season. And then my outdoor season, I was like, you know what? I've accomplished my goals. I want to try this rugby thing.
Mm.
And yeah, so I played rugby my senior spring. A
Mhm.
friend of mine wanted to try out to a regional tryout. I was like, well, if I'm going to take you, I'll try out. I made the team. A month later, I was at a national championship, got scouted by the US under 23 team. And like 3 weeks after that, I graduated and was on a plane to Canada to go play for the under 23 team. And then I was in the pool for 7 years. My focus was sevens, which is the rugby that's played in the Olympics today.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Um, and it was a blast.
Oh my
It was a blast. Lived in New York City after college, played for the New York Women's Rugby Club, won like, I don't know, 5 national championships out of the 7 years we were there, and then I got married and moved to Philly and hung up my spikes. That was it.
And that was it. That wasn't but that wasn't it, right? I mean, now your story shifted, right? You went from, 5-star athlete to now, guess what? Now I want to do something different. How did where did that shift take place, and like what made you move to what was next?
Yeah, I think what you're getting at. Well, I'll tell you like the tangible shift that took place, but I also know what you're getting at, which is like that athlete mindset doesn't go away just because you're not competing,
Mm-mm.
right?
No,
It's like,
no, we're gonna talk about that.
no,
Yeah.
it's still there. P.S. I play pickleball like 2 days a week, so I'm still in it to win it over here. But anyway, so I sat down with the U.S. coach, and we knew that rugby was going to be added to the Olympics,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it was starting a 4-year cycle. And we sat down and we had a conversation, and he was like, "You could do this, but it's going to be a risk." He's like,
Hmm.
"I am going after high school kids right now, kids that are 15, 16. That's who I'm going to be recruiting now, and I'm going to develop them over the next 4 years. You could be that old that old respected player. You could be, but there's probably going to be like 1 or 2 spots on the team
Yeah.
for that level, for that age, for that experience. And the chances of me being that in the pool that I was in, I had a shot. I could go for it,
Hmm.
or I could choose to double down on my career and really start focusing on what that's going to look like." And ultimately, that's what I chose. I chose to get married. I chose to move out of New York, and I choose to refocus my energy on myself instead of my team, and my family instead of my team. And had a bunch of kids and bought a house, and did the whole Philly thing. So, but to your point about like that athlete mindset, that grit, that resilience, that problem solving, that flexibility, the ability to like be nimble, and none of that goes away. You take that into whatever it is that you're building or whatever it is that you're navigating, or
Yeah.
so every day. I mean, like if you saw me after a great meeting or in my house by myself, I'm consulting, right? I'm in my house by myself. If you saw me on a call in a great meeting, you would see me like jumping around the house, fist pumping in the air, being
Yeah.
like, "Let's go," by myself. Okay. Like that is that is like so now like that athlete mindset, like it just doesn't It doesn't go away. It becomes a very core part of you for sure.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I thank you for sharing that because I want to shift into, of course, the topic of the day, AI, right? And what you do. You know, we were at the Endless Isle conference together, right? And you're up on stage and you're talking, and I'm sitting there, and I think you probably heard me like just sort of like almost amen, and like
I think you did.
agreeing with
Yeah.
everything you said, and you're like good, you Steve, you good? I was like. I'm 100% there. I'm like, I am following you. I love what you're saying. I'm tracking with you because, I'm from New York. So we, talk with my hands and I say, if something I like, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. There you go, right? And so, but one of the things that you did, and you talked about AI, sort of just in really glowing terms, right? And I think in the retail space, there's still a lot of work to do, right? With not just adoption, but understanding what AI's impact is going to be in the marketplace. How are you helping shift that mindset right now within retail?
You're listening to Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think oh man, it's a really relevant one because what I'm finding is my education on AI is moving so fast because I'm spending so much time in it, right? I'm
Mm,
a co-founder of the Retail AI Council. It's a council that is like our charter is to be a retail-led organization to help cut through all the clutter and really define and identify what are the AI use cases and technologies out there that are really moving the needle, right? So I'm at the forefront, I'm in the thick of it. But what I'm realizing as I'm translating those learnings into retailers on the consulting side
mhm,
is that many of them are still very nascent. And so trying to get a grasp on understanding where are they in their AI journey? Where are they in their trust levels with AI? Where does their vision line up with the vision of the market? And like, do those two things intersect? It's everybody's really at a different place. And so what I'm finding is,
mm,
well, I'm really bullish on some of these technologies and just want to jam them into some of these brands. I'm realizing that the change management process needs to really be cared for before some of those decisions can happen. I think you can get a couple quick wins here and there, right? If it's like a low cost of entry, um, or no cost of entry scenario where you can kind of test and learn and prove the value of these use cases, that's one thing, but those are few and far between. So I find myself focusing more on how do I help these brands come to terms with really where they are in their
mm,
process of
mm,
adopting and believing in and championing and measuring AI so that they can all get aligned. One really good process that I put in place is just through a very standard architectural review. There are a lot of pieces of technology that brands have in place today that are leveraging AI use cases already, and they just don't know. So there's a really great and relatively easy process of just auditing the tech stack and saying, "Hey, let's do a workshop and say, here are the 30 pieces of technology that you're using. 15 of them are already utilizing AI, and this is how."
mhm,
And so that
mm,
education really goes a long way from a change management standpoint because it goes from the should we invest in AI to oh my god, we're already investing in AI. And so it's like the band-aid gets ripped off and the conversation gets a lot people get a lot more receptive because it's
mhm.
not a yes no anymore, it's a how.
Yeah. Do you think AI has a branding issue? Because I often think about it when you use the word trust. You used the word trust earlier, but I was talking to someone else about it, and I posed that same question to him. So I'm gonna let you answer that question.
I think we've been burned, right? We've been burned with the metaverse, we've been burned with NFTs, right? We've been burned with these wide sweeping categories of technology that are on the forefront of innovation, right? And I'll put that in quotes, forefront of innovation. And so I think there is a lot of mistrust in is this just another fad, right? I think that's one piece of it. Is this just going to like bubble up and then calm down and we're not going to talk about it again? I think that's one piece that's kind of holding us back from a branding perspective. And then the other is there isn't a lot of definition around it. And so sometimes people are really inspired by the width and depth of the category, and then sometimes people are totally immobilized by it because they just don't know where to begin. So
Mhm.
I think you're right. I don't know if it's a branding issue as much as an identity complex. Like who who
Yeah, I
is
love
it? Like
love that.
who are we? Like how do you begin? And so the result has been, and this is my opinion, I've been waiting for technology to get involved. Right? GPT kind of democratized the access to AI and our ability to test it and understand it and see its outputs. And then we had to wait a while. We had to wait for tech to kind of build these productized use cases so that we can actually put it into a bucket and say, this AI application is in this category and therefore subject to this budget, right? But man, as I'm looking at agentic AI, and it's just on simmer right now. It's not quite
Mm,
out in market right now. Agentic AI is basically the ability to use AI agents to do
yeah.
anything a human can
Yeah.
do on a computer, right? So
Yeah.
so the use case there, I mean, think about having an agent that is like working 24/7 and can't quit. Like that's pretty cool. Um, so I think we all have to just keep going. We have to keep
Yeah.
listening, we have to keep testing, we have to keep learning, and we have to keep building our confidence in the technology because it's here and it's coming. And the retailers that embrace it are the ones that are going to win, and the ones that don't are going to be left behind, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was listening to Sinead Bouvel. She's based out in Canada. She does a lot with AI, and she talked about the idea around these dynamic jobs,
Hmm.
where the idea is that AI is, of course, it's the outputs are going to be what's important, relative to what you put in there. But from a job standpoint, your job, and think about it with agents, your job is not going to be the doing anymore. It is going to be more strategic based on those outcomes. So
Hmm.
now, as a professional, as a retail leader, your mindset is not going to be around doing. It's like, how do you strategize a little bit differently? Are you seeing that as a gap now? Uh, that's a loaded question, right? It looks like it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
So go ahead and answer. I'm
No,
going to let your face.
thanks for the softball. Yeah, I mean, look, there are all these menial tasks that so many of us do every single day, right? And some more than others, some on the operations side that are doing exports and imports and just things that don't require any solutioning or creative thought or problem solving and it's just we don't need to be spending our time doing those things anymore, right? And so from an operations perspective, deploying these bots, these agents to do that work is going to free us up and give us more time to do the things that the human brain is really good at, right? Forward thinking, vision, strategy, problem solving, creative thought. I mean, these machines are not creative yet. They're not creative. So
Mhm,
so my thought is, how do we really work from a process perspective to identify those menial tasks, deploy these agents to complete them on our behalf to free us up to be more effective and more efficient, right? And drive more innovation, drive more strategy, see things coming that we didn't have time to see coming. It's going to speed up our industry so much, and it's going to make us so much more efficient and ideally more profitable.
mhm.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the wet. I'm gonna do the wet blanket thing. So
Mm,
where's the line, right? Because I am pro AI. I don't know if that's even a saying or anything anymore, but 100%. Like I understand it. I see where it's going, but where's the line? There has to be a line between the reliance on AI and also like sort of the human condition and the human aspects of job and work. Like where's that line?
yeah, it's a good question. I don't think it's the reliance on AI. I think we're still in the utilization of AI piece, right?
Mm,
I don't think we've fully figured out how to utilize it to our greatest advantage. And
mhm,
that's where I think the potential lives. Where the line is, you know, it's a great question. I think when we're talking about retail,
mhm,
we're
mhm,
about to we are like on the precipice of a massive revolution. Like, it is going to change dramatically over the next 5 to 10 years. We've already seen it change dramatically. The pandemic accelerated so much of this adoption from a digital perspective, but people still come in stores, right? So I don't think that the onus on the brand to be customer experience obsessed is going to change. I think that the expectation of the consumer is going to change, right? So the customer's desired experience is going to change, and the onus is on brands to meet those expectations.
Okay.
So, for
Yeah, go
example,
deep. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, go deeper into that one.
we want things to be easier. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people love the TJ Maxx experience, right, or the Ross experience where you gotta go in and, like, dig for the gold, you know? I don't like that. I just want gold to be delivered to my front door, right? I don't like, I need I need efficient, I need easy, and I'm willing to pay a premium for that.
Yeah.
And so, what I believe is coming, what I believe is going to happen is that we are going to be more and more agent-led. The more time goes on and the smarter these agents get, the more focused these brands become on organizing and making their data accessible to these agents, the more targeted we're gonna be. I don't want to get ads with Spanish on my TV anymore. I don't speak Spanish. They should know I don't speak Spanish. Don't serve me a Spanish ad, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's a level of personalization that I am demanding that this data has the ability to deliver through the lens of AI utilization. And I don't think that those demands and those expectations are going to lessen. I think they're going to become more and more acute and more aggressive as time goes on. And
Mhm.
so again, those brands that harness their data and leverage it to create those unique experiences for me, that deliver the gold to my device, are the
Mhm.
ones that are going to earn my wallet share. And my prediction is that through this lens of AI, we're going to become very, very device led. We've got these incredibly intelligent phones that are in our pockets. You've got Apple Intelligence that's out in the market. You've got an
Mhm.
agent on your phone. You've got Siri sitting on everybody's phones, waiting to get more and more effective, waiting to get better. She still sucks, in my opinion. I keep testing her and she just continuously fails.
Yeah.
But at some point, that technology is going to get activated. And I believe that the browser is going to get challenged. I believe that the search engine is going to get challenged. I believe that the standard hierarchy of a website is going to get challenged. And I think the one thing that you really will be able to continue to maintain is the experience in the physical retail location. And that is going to continue to raise the bar for how these devices need to engage with us. And so
Yeah.
the way that this works today is I walk into a store and I get the most personalized experience ever because I have a human that I can interact with that cares about my information. They ask for my data when I walk in and I say, I'm Jenna and I'm
Mhm.
here because I'm buying X, Y, or Z. And here's my size and my color preference. And here's the brand that I want. And that store associate takes all of that information, context about what I'm wearing it for, what I want, my size, my color, and they go into the stock room and they go find it for me.
Right.
These devices aren't going to be any different than that. The
Mhm.
biggest difference is they're going to ideally be able to capture my data across a multitude of touch points, not just when I walk in the door, but they're going to understand what are my brand preferences? What's my average order value? What's my wallet size? When do I get paid? How do we leverage all of this information from Jenna to determine what she's more likely to buy right now
Mhm.
or what she actually wants right now? And so I'm waiting for that evolution. That's it. That, in my opinion, is what's
Yeah.
the potential of what could be coming.
Yeah, and you actually took it a step further at the conference, right? When you actually brought up the suggestion of a team memberless store. Do you remember right? And I thought, and
Yeah.
did you hear the crowd when you said that? Did you feel the tension? Yeah, it's like all the air in the room was like sucked out.
You're listening to Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy.
But I was like, I can see it happen. I can see it happening. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because and I want the crowd the audience to
Yeah.
hear this as well.
So here was my point. My point was that in the same way that we're rethinking what AI is going to do to digital and the way the consumers are going to engage with digital product, we need to be thinking about the store. And so the use case that I actually put out there, the idea wasn't we're going to replace every store associate. That's not what that was. What it was if we look at AI and we look at the potential of what AI can offer, how do we rethink the purpose of the store and the structure of the store? And so my recommendation was today we have hours, we have store hours, right? Digital doesn't have store hours. We're open 24/7, right? We're taking orders 24/7. So if we have the ability to infuse digital into these retail environments, how can we rethink how the store operates? So my suggestion was in those off hours, how do we leverage technology to have a contactless store where a consumer can actually earn the right to let themselves in to a store that is, quote, closed and self checkout, right? If I want to order something for same day delivery at midnight, could that get routed to Uber Eats? Uber goes and picks up my item from the store that's nearest the consumer and brings it. Can we have same hour delivery? I mean, like there are new ways that we can start thinking about this through the utilization of technology, devices, and AI that we just haven't in the past. And so there is technology out there now where I can pre-auth a card on my phone, and that pre-authorization can actually unlock a door.
Mhm.
So let's say it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm walking down the street and I see a bag in the window that I want to go buy. In theory, I can pre-auth my card for $400.
Mhm.
The store will know, it'll let me in, and I will go scan that bag and check out. There's security everywhere. There's cameras, right? You're known because we've just authed your card, right? There's fraud layers and making sure we know it's you, right? There's device IDs and there's all sorts of precautions that we're taking to know that this is actually Jenna. And I can come in and I can buy and take that bag and leave and the store locks behind me. So I brought it up not to polarize the room. I brought it up to help expand the concept of what the store could be to the consumer and ways to leverage digital to continue to amplify the digital voice of those physical stores.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember when Panera uh, years ago when they had the first, your ability to actually pick up in store. And I felt so uncomfortable going into that physical. I already paid online, but they had the meal in a little box, right?
Mhm.
Steve Worthy, and I walk in, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm Steve. This
I
is
swear.
mine.
I
This is I
swear.
swear this is this I swear this is mine. I'm walking out here, and it was such an uncomfortable experience. And I and a whole bunch of other people, share their same experience for me. I can almost now you're talking about, leapfrog, maybe I don't know how many years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Right now, there's such a level of comfort,
Mhm.
with that type of scenario and with the situation. And I don't feel like we're too far off from the scenario that you're talking
Mm,
about at all.
mm. Doesn't it feel like a natural progression? I mean, I really don't think we're that far from it. In fact, the technology exists. It's in market, so it's coming.
Well, we see it with Amazon Go, right? There's stores, right? Where you walk in the store and you just walk out, right? I mean, that's a scaled down version of that or whatever, but it's still the same principle applies to what they're actually
Totally.
doing.
I mean, they're a little bit more advanced in that you don't actually have to scan anything, which is kinda cool.
Oh,
I
100 exactly.
We were in the UK this summer and, me, my wife, and my 3 kids, and we brought them to an Amazon Go store and let them
Yeah.
just go nuts on candy, and and we just kinda walked out, and they were like, "What's going on?" And we were like, "Oh, no, this is all free. It's all free candy." And they're like, "What? Can we go back?" And I was like, "It's not free. It's just" and I explained the whole situation. They're like their minds were blown. They were like, "Wait, what? You used your palm to leave? Like, what's happening?"
It's like, what kind of magic is this, mom? What are you doing? What are
I
you
know.
doing? All right, I want to close with a couple of things for 2025. You've been in several meetings before. You're an exec. You run all these different businesses. You've been in a start, stop, and continue, meeting, right? So I want to get your best like start, stop, and continue for 2025 for retail brands and even retail leaders.
Start, stop, and continue. Oh god. I would say I mean, can I keep it AI focused?
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Go for it. Go for it. This is your show. This is your show. You can say whatever you wanna say.
I would say, start well, let's go stop first. Like, stop challenging these AI use cases because you're afraid. Like, just find real reasons to challenge these AI use cases, right? Like, don't put up barriers because you're concerned about the unknown, right? And I would say start really leaning in and testing and educating yourself, because if you're not doing it, you're gonna be left behind. I'm down this, board of directors path, with a number of, I'll call them agencies that place board members, right? And the need for an understanding of AI right now at the board level
Yes.
across the public sector
Come on.
is through the roof.
100%.
So if you are not reading, absorbing, testing, and learning, it's going to catch up with you really quickly. So I just think from an executive standpoint, we need to start testing more. We need to stop putting up phantom roadblocks, right? Because we're scared about what's coming. And we need to continue to lean in and really work to quantify the value of AI in our organizations. And one major path to doing that is creating committees, cohorts internally, ownership over AI across discipline, and making those leaders work together in order to come together with a perspective on what does AI mean to our business and what is our plan. Because digital executives have been fearlessly testing because that's what we do. But now it's time to really figure out, how do you infuse this across the business? There are opportunities. It's limitless with planning, with allocation, with reallocation, with store transfers and proximity routing. And there is so much opportunity for efficiencies and profitability to be generated by AI that executives have just got to get on board and learn more about this.
Good, good. And they need to join the Retail AI Council or something like that. I think there's an organization out there that they should be
Certainly
joining.
can't hurt. Certainly can't hurt.
What organization is that? I have no clue what that is.
Yes, the Retail AI Council is a retailer-led organization. I'm a co-founder along with Andy Lodato, the COO of Vitamin Shop, and Doug Weish, the CEO of Safel. We came together to create a committee of retailers dedicated to helping us all find our path and find our way through this AI journey. There is a lot of fluff. There is a lot of people putting AI in their name so they can be relevant, but not all of them are actually implementing AI in their technology. And so we are here to call out the BS and champion the products that do deliver.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there will be a link to her organization in the notes for everybody. I knew this episode was going to be amazing. I knew I love your energy. I love everything about you. I love your conversation. I love how you see things, and I appreciate your boldness, right? Because I think this AI journey requires boldness. It requires like cutting through the fluff. Right? Stop talking in buzzwords, like talk about action and how we can actually, create some serious results. So, and I'm all about results. So I just really was wanting to let you know I really appreciate you.
Well, you're easy to talk to, Steve. I appreciate the time.
Well, thanks for being here. All right. Cool.